TVC Sports Desk.
Great win right there from AC Milan. Now let's turn attention to football right here at home. And the president of the Nigerian Football Federation, Ibrahim Goso, in an exclusive interview with TVC News, revealed that a substantive manager will be named for the Super Eagles this week. Now, ex-international Austin Eguavoen has handled the job on an interim basis, leading the Super Eagles to a convincing AFCON 2025 qualification with a match to spare, a performance that had some quarters calling for him to get the job on a permanent basis.
Nigerians will know the coach of the Super Eagles very soon. I'm sure you are aware that the technical committee sat on Thursday to discuss about it, and I'm just waiting for their report. And if we go through the report with the approval of the board, then we move on. But definitely Nigerians will know the coach of the Super Eagles who will steer the affairs of the team going to the World Cup qualifiers very soon. Because as I have said earlier, the technical committee has started on Thursday and they have met about it, and they'll come out with a decision.
Well, joining the show right about now is Mohammed Mouktar, the chairman of the Federal Capital Territory Football Association, to discuss this. First of all, congratulations on your chieftaincy title, the Agbebi Waya by His Royal Highness Dr. the 17th Sub Waya Esu Buhari, and Chairman Council of Traditional Rulers Buhari Area Council. Being a philanthropist and sports icon in Nigeria, that's definitely deserved. Now, let's get into this. As the chairman of the FCT FA, you definitely are a major stakeholder in Nigerian football. What do you make of that announcement by the president of the Nigerian Football Federation about a substantive manager being named for the Super Eagles this week?
Thank you, Samson, for having me on your show. I'm a big fan. And thank you for the congratulatory message on the title I received. Well, let's get on to the talk of the day. I think it's something that all Nigerians are very anxious and curious to know, because our World Cup qualification hangs in the balance. We're in a very tight position. So we think that the next coach that would handle that job will determine whether we go to this World Cup, because we missed the last one. So this is a very, very, very important decision. And I'm happy to hear that the president of the NFF has said that the technical committee has sat on it. Of course, we don't have details as to a short list or who will it be, a local, a foreign coach, and who it will be, because then we'd have to wait for that decision to come out.
Okay, let's look at the options available. We know last time out when there was an announcement that didn't go down well entirely, talking about the Bruno Labbadia announcement at the time. But this time around, like we have a concrete decision being made. By your own experience on the job as an administrator, do you think the Super Eagles at this point in time really need a foreign expatriate as a coach, or we should also look home and see if we can get a homegrown talent to lead them to the World Cup taking place in US, Mexico, and Canada come 2026?
Well, I think it's a double-edged sword, Samson, because you have a group that want or believe that a foreign coach is the man for the job. And then there is a group that is advocating for our local coaches. And of course, Austin Eguavoen has done a fantastic job so far in handling the job on an interim basis. But of course, we want to find a permanent solution to this. And we need as much hands on deck, because the World Cup qualification is the big ticket, and that's what everybody wants. And I think the enabling environment has been given by government with the recent budgetary allocation. I think everything looks set and good. With the new National Sports Commission set up with Shehu Diko and Olopade, I think we have two eggheads that are well versed in football. So we don't have any excuse. We have to get the job done. I have a preference, but that's personal. But I think the technical committee has a combination of good people who know what it takes, have been there, done that, and they will look at all the scenario to see who can command the respect of these top players. Because we've seen incidences before that players don't give enough respect to local coaches for obvious reasons. So you need somebody who will command that respect, somebody who will carry the team, and somebody who will analyze the next games that are upcoming and will have a plan to beat those teams, because we virtually have to pick all those points, and it's a very tough task ahead.
Okay, you've just talked about the issue of discipline within the squad and having respect for the coach, listening to the coach as well. That also tell you that under Iguavon, we didn't really get to see so many, disgruntled players or players, carrying out acts of insubordination against the head coach and his technical crew. So is it really about that for the preference for a foreign manager, or it's just about getting a foreign manager that we think is tactically more knowledgeable than the foreign-based coaches, than the domestic-based coaches that we have?
Well, Samson, you even see in the world of football, young coaches are up and coming, and they're making a wave. So it's not the number of years you've spent as a coach, but when you have these big foreign players that come in, they have big egos. So you also have to find somebody who has the temperament, the mindset, and the patience to handle them, really, and it's a thin line. You can't treat a player different from his mate just because he plays abroad or he's a local-based player. So it's a combination of so many things. You need to be very skilled and experienced, and I think Iguavon is skilled enough to handle the boys.
Okay, finally, before we delve into issues of administration with the FCT now, let's talk about the Super Eagles beyond the managerial role now. What are you looking at in terms of how we can further make the team formidable? They were this close to winning the African Cup of Nations last time out, getting to the finals. This time around, it's all about, moving a step further. What other reforms do you expect the NFF to put in place to ensure that the team is ready to go come AFCON 2025?
Well, I think you're as good as the bunch of players you have, in the sense that, of course, the tactics play a very important role. I was there in Abidjan at the final. It was heartbreaking that we couldn't clinch it. Of course, they had the home advantage. And in that particular AFCON, you'd see that the former Super Eagles coach, Pesero, he was a very defense-minded coach, very cautious. And the formation he played, of course, didn't favor players like Victor Osimhen, because it was a very defensive approach. But it's the bunch of players you have available that also determines the kind of style or formation that you play. Of course, we can do better, because there's been a lot of arguments that maybe most of the players are born out of Nigeria. They're, of course, Nigerians, and they deserve to play. They have a right to play, and we're proud of their contributions. But also, some of the homegrown players have tried to, make a case for themselves. Some were included, but maybe not many were used. So it's just to have that balance whereby, like, the MPFL could produce more quality players, then you could have a 50-50 balance at least, so that the homegrown players have a sense of belonging and they can meet their aspirations even if they don't play abroad. So I think it's a case of us having more facilities, more technical capabilities, coaches, and then, of course, making sure that we produce a bigger pool of players like the best countries in the world. What they have is they have a bigger pool of players to choose from.
Okay, finally, let's take a look at the FCT now. That's where, you reside, and that's your domain, as it were. Talking about football administration in the Federal Capital Territory. The cliche usually is you have to develop the sport by investing massively in grassroots football. What other ways do you think we can reform our football to hit those lofty standards we know it can attain?
Well, there's been different models, because not every country is rich enough to build facilities all over the place. But you make do with what you have. I'll give you an example. Jamaica is good in athletics, but they don't have fantastic facilities. It's just that determination, and they know their strengths and their capabilities, and they work on it. So for us, I think as the giants of Africa, as a big country of Africa, as a leader in Africa, we need to step up and invest more in sports, because it's a business. It's not just a pastime as we look at it. You know, it's a very important contributor to GDP, to a nation's development. And you can see the countries, Samson, that are jostling to host the World Cup. We see a new model now that it's a 3-country combo that is jostling, and it makes it more exciting. And of course, the next World Cup will be that as well, and probably the next one as well. So you see a lot of countries are fighting to host because they've seen what football in particular, what sports does as a contribution to a country's development and well-being. Because you see countries like the US and United Kingdom invest heavily in their local sports, because it keeps the whole nation going and excited, and it's part of life. It's a way of life. So I think we also need to step up and do more, so that we find our place in the committee of countries that are recognized in the index of developed sports countries.
Okay, thank you very much for your time on the show this evening. Mouktar Mohammed, the chairman, FCT Football Association. Thank you so much.
Thank you as usual, Samson. You have a great show. Thank you. I
appreciate it. Thank you so much. And as we hit home stretch on the show, let's turn our attention now to the sport of tennis and tell you that two-time defending Australian Open champion Aryna Sabalenka trained on Tuesday in Melbourne, trying to defend a title right there, talking about the very best of tennis. And for Sabalenka, it is definitely all about getting a third successive title. She's coming off a victory at the Brisbane International, where she got victory over Russia.